Within months of arriving in their new homes in 1948, Gascoigne estate residents had organised themselves for the benefit of the community. They'd set up bus trips to the coast for their young people, established a residents' association to give tenants a voice, and in a few years the residents built this simple hall. The hall helped to create the community spirit that Gascoigne would be celebrated for. At its core can be seen remarkable expressions of diversity and tolerance. So when the hall was demolished recently, along with the folding of the Residents' Association, many thought it symbolised the end of the Gascoigne community. And a moment to ask why this example of post-war social housing was so popular. What lay behind its achievement in providing affordable homes and a community to belong to for thousands of people across so many years? This film talks to residents past and present about Gascoigne's first 50 years.
It was a new start for everybody, you know. It was, and that's, I always think of Gascoigne as a new start, a proper life.
Ours was absolutely modern, up to date. You could have what you liked, an electric cooker or a gas cooker. There was no problem. There was none. It was really, really, really nice. In fact, I think they had a big pamphlet they used to have out. Gascoigne House was a showpiece.
Oh, we thought it was wonderful. You know, we were only 11 and 12, and we thought, oh, it really is luxury.
We came from 2 rooms, a big family, because my mother had been bombed out, like most people during the war. And when we come here from 2 rooms, it was heaven. I can distinctly remember going into school the next day and bragging about I had 3 taps where hot water came out. Maybe stupid now, but when you've grown up with a tin bath in the kitchen and you had to boil the water up, you had a bathroom, you had a toilet, you didn't have to go out in the back garden. And you turned the tap on, the hot water came out. Oh, wow!
When eventually we were lucky enough to move to Gascoigne, as I say, we couldn't believe the room, the space, the facilities. It was wonderful.
Lovely to live in. It was the first time in their marriage, they got married in 46, that they had their own front door basically, and they could do whatever they wanted inside. Raise the children, didn't have other relations living in the same house, and they really tried to make it into a proper family unit.
Apparently my dad got offered a flat, and the moment he opened the door he said, "I'll take it," without even looking round, because he knew that was the place to have.
You're part of a community. When you live on an estate, you really are part of a community. It's really important, I feel, that you are part of that community too. You take the time to meet your neighbours, to get to know who the people are around you, and inevitably you do enjoy the fact that you live amongst lots of different types of people.
You survive with each other. You survive with each other. What one never had, the other one had, you shared. That's what it's all about, caring and sharing. No good keeping everything to yourself, because you can't eat it all. And you never know what and who you might need.
Right, that's myself there, and that's my sister Florence. When we got on the coaches, you can see we had our bags of sandwiches with us, and a good time was had by all. We really enjoyed it, and that was the only time we saw the seaside then.
I wonder where all them children are now.
I know, well, we know where 3 of them are.
So
Because as a child, you don't know
No,
whether
it's
times
just
are
going
hard or
on,
not.
isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
just the way life was.
Yeah.
You just live it. You go to work because you have to. Your mum
Yeah.
wants money coming in. You didn't have days out, and
Yeah.
that was it. You just got on with it.
Yeah.
But in this life, years take everything away. Believe me. Look at this. Look at this and look at me now. Look at this and look at this.
Good night,
Look,
yeah.
look at her and look at me.
Yeah, we're getting old, then.
We got a lovely Turkish song saying the years that take my life away. Here we are.
So it's all good. It's nice. So once he's come out, I'll share him with the rest of the family, so they can, our extended family, so they know exactly what is going on. That's it.
We were beginning to do some work on the tower, and it emerged with our architect that there was a little bit of money right at the end of the project where we could afford to have some carvings done, and the architect suggested that we might like to choose the face of somebody in the congregation. And she'd done all sorts of extraordinary things, and she was just a very well loved and well respected member of our community, and so we decided that we would choose her face, and that anyone passing from now on can see her face and we can all remember her. And I'm really hoping that it'll last for, a good few hundred years.
God bless him. Oh,
sometimes it's just nice to have a good cup.
it is. Oh, wow.
I'm good at doing
Okay. Amazing, that picture. Look how we're both together now. Honestly, Crystal's 20 and she's now a mum. I'm a grandmother now, 8 months old. Penelope, we're nearly 9 months. Yeah. So I can't believe my baby's had a baby, and she got told she couldn't have children.
Wow.
So it was a miracle.
And now you got your granny.
My mum's a great grandmother for the 5th time.
And your mum's
My mum's Sylvia,
She's doing well, isn't she?
She's 79 now. She still lives up there, 46
years. She still
years.
goes to the chip shop chatting to the
And
men.
you know
She loves
what? She
it.
won't move from there.
No.
She said if they were to move, she's got too many happy memories on Gascoigne, seeing some of us all grown up from kids. And she said the one thing is that you can't bring that back.
It's really emotional when you get to listen to the people.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I know. Look at me. I'm getting like it as well. It's so lovely to see you.
Bring
It
back
really
a few
is.
tears. It's quite nice.
It has.
Yeah, this is me when I was young and innocent at 18. Not even 18, I don't think. And there's my Donny picture there. Sweet and innocent, both of us. He hasn't changed much, but I don't know about me. And it's always been, since this time, it's always been my ambition to go and see them. And I could never afford in Hackney to go and see them when they came over. I've got a bit of money because I've got made redundant, so I'm going to spend my redundancy money. I'm going to see Donny Osmond in February. And I'm going to be like a big kid again, just for the day. I'm trying desperately to find some under a few £100. It's just the innocence of it. We all had our lives in front of us, like all of us. We all had dreams and what we was going to do, and that little girl in Hackney would never ever, in a million years, thought she would meet Donny Osmond and have a cuddle and a kiss from him.
In my profession, architect, there was a lot of building work, repairing all the bomb damage and all this, replacing all the buildings that were gone. It was a lot of work, hard work, but it was good. It was you always had something to do and interesting.
boards outside the factories or the shops, or you could read it in the local paper who was looking for people, you know. No, it was not at all hard to get a job. I earned £2.12 and 6 when I first went to work. I had to give my mother £2. Out the rest, I had to pay my bus fare to work each day and pay for something in the lunchtime if I wanted to eat. So it's very tight. I only had 12 and threepence left to go backwards and forwards. Often I used to walk home. I used to walk from the city to here to save the bus fare.
He was a bookmaker, so we had all runners on all corners and very interesting life. He said there's only one person that wins, and that's the bookmaker. He said, don't ever bet. Do no betting.
Most of the women here worked in Leslie's because they did evening work, and you'd see them. We'd be out playing and you see the dads come home, then you see the mums all leave. They used to do the evening work. As soon as the dads got home, they went off, did the evening shift.
Do you remember when we worked at Leslie's? I
Yeah.
forget when it was. It was so funny. We was only there one night, weren't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Couldn't keep. You used to sit on the seat and you had this belt going across all the time.
That's right, yeah.
I don't know how people work there though, I really don't. You had all these bar things going around with the belts and the
Yeah,
things coming
yeah.
along. You wanted to go to the toilet, you had to put your hand up, didn't you? And
Yeah.
someone had to relieve you. You couldn't even talk to them, you couldn't even look at them.
Nah,
It was just continuous, wasn't it, all
Yeah,
the time?
yeah.
I could see him dropping off the end. I thought, I don't care. I couldn't do no more.
Oh, I worked in the nursery 32 years. I cleaned the floors. I've got a photo here somewhere of me of where I'm on my hands and knees cleaning the floor because there was no mops. It was all hands, knees and bumps a daisy. And the floor was heated because of the children. It was lovely. It was a lovely, nice job. The parents were nice. How can I put it? I've never had a big family. So to me it was family. I loved them all. I loved them all.
I used to work in a warehouse. They used to make ladies' garments on it. That was my first job. I worked there for 8 years. Well, I used to pick and sew on garments. You have to check them. You have to make sure the sizes are right. We had to put them in bags and get them ready and send them to them big stores. The customer. Them people customer like Marks and Spencer and them. When I used to get £600. £600 a month. Right? And sometimes if I work sometimes I used to work overtime 5 days a week, you know. And sometimes if they're busy, I used to go to work Saturday and Sunday, you know, just to get a little extra. Right? To look after myself, the flat and the council. And the 2 children. So it was very hard. I can tell that to somebody, it was very hard.
Well, I'm very proud of my nursing and medical heritage. My granddad was, the first Ghanaian to become a doctor. I've always wanted to care for people. And even when I was in secondary school, for 2 years I was a school nurse. I remember telling my mom, I'm only going for 4 years, do my training and have a 1 year experience and then come back. So I decided, well, I train here, I'm working and I'm happy. So I stayed. The nursing itself, though it was hard, but that was what I've always wanted to be. By God's grace, I was able to do 35 years and I come out, unscathed.
Dad worked on the London Underground before health and safety and duty of care, but Dad used to do double shifts, so we didn't actually see Dad much because he was always working for a long time. He had all sorts of breathing problems. I think he works himself to the grave, literally.
So a lot of the jobs I did, I was a postman, I did some portering jobs, but I ended up following my dad's footsteps and going to work for London Underground. And at one point in my career there, I wanted to become a manager of the Victoria line. But to do that, you still had to have trains knowledge and background. So although I'd worked around trains, you have to be qualified. So I went through the whole duty manager trains process, rules and regulations, learned the ins and outs of a train, and you also had to be able to take that train into service, along the track, come back. So yes, you had to qualify to be a tube driver. And my mum was like, oh, I knew one of you would take after Dad, you know. So it was quite nice for me.
Your mum and dad lived on a block. Your kids eventually got a place in the estate, so we could keep an eye on each other, like take care of our mums, or our mums can take care of our children. It was convenient, so we can go out and work and earn our money. It was so nice, it was available.
Family members would get priority in letting flats. That was a big deal. And that led to a much more cohesive community.
There was Mum, my nan and granddad in 76, Mum and Dad and myself in 77, Doreen and her mum and dad in 52. The Andersons lived in number 7. That was Ken's relations.
Yeah, so we was on the ground floor. My nan and my granddad and my auntie were still at home then, and they lived on the 3rd floor. And we all took care of one another. Like the extended family took care of one another, really. We all helped out. Like when we was young, my nan looked after us, and as we got older, we looked after my nan.
And they started to move families off the estate into other places. So whereas you might have an old couple who brought up their children, whereas at one time their son or daughter would be allocated a flat on the estate, then that went, and so they moved out, and it was from then the atmosphere on the estate changed.
And the goal then, in the 70s, was to get to Dagenham. If you could get to Dagenham, you've made it. Everybody wanted to get to Dagenham. There's a place to be, there's the gardens, you know, nice community. So I phoned the council up and said, if we gave up these 2 flats, would you give us a one house in Dagenham? Because my nan needed looking after, and they agreed to it. So it didn't take very long, did it? A few months and we was down here, really. My nan, sadly, she was only down here a few months and she passed away. Parties died off, didn't they? And I don't know, just life changed, really. It's a different way of life down here, I think. Not so community orientated.
It's just friends of friends, you know. A group of boys come up and you start chatting to them, and I say my mate, first of all, went out with him. But I remember he climbed up a tree and he fell off. And I went running over to see if he's all right, and his girlfriend just stayed behind, she didn't care, so I thought, I love him.
But even when we was teenagers, when we first started going to the local pubs, and you know, when we was old enough to have a drink, you know, we'd meet girls and stuff. If I went on a Friday night, I met a girl. It was quite easy them days to, you know, talk to girls. And then you arranged to meet the next day. I'd come home and I'd say to my brother, "Oh, I'm tired. You know, do you want to go and meet this bird?" And he'd go and meet the bird, and the girls would know no different. So only when they met us in the nightclub later on together, they realised we was twins. That's called magic. It's the gift from God.
Me, Jason and Christine, as you know, because our ages were close, we used to all have the same friends, like all of us in our little gang. if we weren't on Welsh Street, we was in the Arch or playing football. I used to watch Peter Burns, New Rail Tour. Oh God, they're so nice looking. Oh, they're so, you know, I used to have this childhood crush, thinking, "You no chance, girl."
This is my boyfriend of the time. I used to call him Mike. We used to like to be called Mike, but his name was Fatin Onda. He was Turkish Cypriot, and he was my first real boyfriend. He purchased this wonderful Capri that we was both really, really proud of, and was always out polishing it and cleaning it. We was like in the 70s, and we was quite stylish. We used to go to Carnaby Street to get our clothes, and we thought we was really it. He's holding this machine which was called a Kirby machine. It was did everything apparently. We was told it did everything. He was a top salesman. It was his first job I think over here, and he had to sell them. So he went round all the neighbours trying to sell them, and sold loads and loads, and we'd get the profits of it because he'd be the top salesman every Friday, and he'd come home with televisions and videos and cameras and all sorts of things that we didn't really need.
From this bedroom we had, my sister and I, we shared a room, my sister Lorraine. She had loads of memorabilia on her wall, I had loads on mine. But the main thing was she loved Terry Hall from the specials, that was her idol. And my idol was Neville Staple. It's really funny, like 30 years later, I met him. And we got on like a house on fire, and now it's been 8-9 years we've been together. We've been married for several years, we perform together, we have a couple of albums coming out, we write music together. It's just amazing. Who'd have thought from having him on the wall in the bedroom in Gascoigne to having him in my life.
And Tiddy only lived 12 years. Tiddy died 38. He was only 38. Quite a few years after, Kit paired me up with Ted. Kit. Well, he only lived across the road, Ted, in Harrogate House, #1. And he had a chair dog. He did. And I had a Pekingese. We've been married 50 odd years. So I was widowed twice. He was a lovely man. But they both were. And God gave me 2 lovely husbands. So I was blessed with that. But they're not to both.
I feel with this flat, because I've been here so long. Yeah, obviously we would like the bathroom to be slightly bigger. We'd like the kitchen to be slightly bigger, but it's a comfort. When I've gone out anywhere and I come back to my flat, it's a comfort. When we had that big storm in 1987, and I came back here in the early hours of the morning, I parked the car up, and then there had all the storm and all the trees and everything else, I felt safe.
Because the architecture is brilliant in these flats. I do think they are beautifully thought out. The layout of the flats has been beautifully considered, just for communal living actually, and family living.
It's amazing. It's still amazing. I think I walked through there a couple of weeks ago, and I could still feel the atmosphere in there. It's like a little village, really. It's like a condensed little village, and I just felt love as I walked through there. I thought nothing's really changed, and I loved it. And I thought, oh, I wish I'd never moved now. I just really would like to be back there.
This is where I began. This is my beginning. This is my roots, sort of thing. You know what I mean? As a family, we was in a nice flat and we couldn't wish for better. Oh, lots and lots of memories. watching my children grow up.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, oh, look, 75.
Oh.
Remember
we used to come
over?
We used to come out the door.
Come and have a cup of coffee.
Come and have a coffee.
Oh, no. It's lovely.
That was my dream flat. My dream flat. I loved it. I really loved it. It was a 3-bedroom flat. The sitting room was big. When we had like birthday parties, things like that, we have had up to 300 people there, you know, in and out, you know. The atmosphere and everything was lovely. It was a really friendly estate. And it was just nice, and everybody lived really good together, you know. People of all nationalities, everything, you know, we really did mix well.
You know, in terms of social housing, this was a success. It's a testament to the Art Deco modernist design of the block, to the values that led to its building, and I think that partly keeps me here. I think social housing is one of the glues that holds the fabric of inner city life together. I hope people realise that social housing, like all public services, is necessary, that without these services people would not be able to survive.
The old concept of social housing, I feel, hasn't really changed that much, because, you know, you come out your door, you say hello. Again, it's all about the respect, and I think social housing does encourage that. I've got a ground floor 2-bedroom flat, but sometimes there's up to 6 or 8 people staying here. I make room. And that's all about what social housing is. You make the most of what you've got. You appreciate what you've got.
The community spirit has never actually gone away.
The gentleman has kindly to let us in. We'd like to thank Mr. Lawrence. He let us in to see our little childhood little nest in here. This was our lounge here. Yeah. Wow, it looks very nice. Well done, you're an artist. Well, amazing. Oh, very nice. This was the lounge. She's changed a lot. Beautiful. The design's very nice. Look, this is where we grew up. This was our living room, but the gentleman kindly let us in to reminisce the past. Say I'm speechless just to enter that place where we was kids, brought up in there, 6 of us. It's amazing. I remember we used to have a little square table in the kitchen, and there were 6 of us, so you can imagine. My dad used to put the three youngest ones to eat first, and then 3 adults used to eat, so it was a compromised situation. Thank you very much, Mr. Lawrence. I'd live in there tomorrow, really, to be honest.
I did take one of them initially. I knew you'd be trouble. Hackney did us proud. I've always thought about 17 Cass House. I've come back on many, many occasions, when my mum was ill, when she died, when my dad died. Something drags me back here, I don't know what it is. And every time I walk through the gates, even though it's a lot different, the drag back and the names and the places are like yesterday.
If I was a millionaire or a billionaire, or won the lottery, I would have to think very, very, very strongly. Would I want to move from here? Would I want to move now? With the memories, with certain friends I've got on the estate who know me, and anything were to happen to me, they would would wonder why. You get that sense of belonging.
At the heart of the Gascoyne estate was the hall built by residents themselves in 1950. Gascoyne Hall played an essential part in creating and sustaining the community spirit.
Everyone voted to have a hall, but the council said if you wanted a hall built, you would have to pay for it. So they put £6 a week on the rent. So the tenants paid for the hall. It doesn't belong to Sanctuary, whatever they could say. The tenants all paid for this hall.
Because everybody used to go there. It wasn't outsiders, it was everybody on the estate used it. So it was very, very popular. We always called it our club. It was always our club.
If one of the neighbours had a birthday party, you know, no one needed the invitation. All the adults will go, and all the kids, we all used to play together. So if we saw any kids in the hall over there and there was a party, we didn't need an invite. You've got to live here to experience that close-knit connection with family. Yeah, it was brilliant.
I think basically because we was all in the same sort of boat and there wasn't a lot of money, and it was an important part of our lives as well, because for one reason we had a TA there and we had meetings in there. We've got onto the council about 101 queries, you know, why repairs wasn't done. And
obviously we was fighting with the borough to improve the estate. Our aim is for the improvement.
Also all those bushes around the Gascoyne estate, I planted myself. I did it myself all round. And I plant them all. I dig it all round. We put manure, compost, and I plant them myself all round. I did it myself.
I used to come and prune flower in the spring to end of the autumn. Love the yellow flower and they are scented. Now these tenants are very lucky.
With a history that goes back even further than Racema Tillers, Florence Whitmore was one of the first residents to settle on Gascoyne Estate in 1948, and until she died was one of the few of the remaining original residents. For many though, Florrie's passing also represented the end of a golden age.
Mum was 101 when she died. She had always said she'd like to live to 104. Unfortunately, she didn't make it. I think we gave Mum the send-off she would have wanted. She always said she would like horses for a funeral. Mum wasn't frightened to talk about her funeral, so we knew what she wanted. We knew she wanted horses, and I worked in the industry, so I could provide for her what she wanted.
For over 60 years, Gascoyne Hall was at the hub of community life on the estate, and it was run successfully by the residents themselves. Gascoyne was celebrated for its parties, but a residents group also thrived that gave everyone a say in how the estate was run. This too disappeared. On the site of the old hall, a new block of 16 luxury apartments is being constructed. Promoted as substantial social housing, on completion however, only 3 of the 16 apartments are let exclusively to social housing tenants. An impressive new hall has been built, but Gascoyne residents are no longer involved in the running. True to Gascoyne tradition, residents have now set up a new residents group.
We went round and knocked on a lot of the doors. We decided, yeah, it's a great idea. We need to get a committee together so that we can represent the residents on the estate that need a voice. You know, a lot of people had lost touch with the other residents, and there was a need, you know, to regroup and get together, and we need to do more of that, really. Who knows what the future will hold for Gascoigne Estate?